Day 6. 4 quarters in my hand, standing in a gas station at 11 p.m., trying to decide if a $1.09 bag of chips is worth the last money I have. I'm 4 cents short. I put it back. 7 days ago, I gave myself a rule: $1 a day. $7 total. No borrowing, no just this once. No calling a friend to cover me. No cheating, no backup card. If I couldn't survive on it, I wanted to know that. And if I could, I wanted to know what it would actually teach me. Let's back up to how this started. 3 weeks before any of this, none of it would have mattered. I would have swiped a card without even looking at the total. But that's exactly the problem. I never looked. Not once. Bills piled up quietly while I wasn't paying attention, the way they always do, until one morning I checked my account and the number staring back didn't make sense. That's how I ended up broke after a month I didn't see coming, standing in a gas station doing snack aisle math like it's a final exam. So I set the challenge. And going in, I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be easy. Day 1 and 2, I walked in almost cocky. Rice is cheap, water's free. And I told myself people who can't make a dollar stretch just aren't trying hard enough. Bought a small bag of rice for around 60 cents, saved the rest, ate the same 3 meals both days without complaint, and told myself the challenge was made for other people, not me. I even bragged about it a little, posted a photo of my rice bowl like it was a badge of honor. That confidence didn't last long. Day 3, it's amazing how loud your stomach gets when you're hungry on purpose. By noon, I couldn't think straight. Everything felt foggy, slower, like wading through something thick. I snapped at a coworker over nothing, some small mix-up that normally wouldn't even register. And the second the words left my mouth, I knew it wasn't really about him. I had to step outside, stand in the parking lot, and figure out why I was so on edge. It wasn't him. It was the hunger doing the talking, and it scared me a little how easily it took over. That afternoon, a friend offered to buy me lunch. No conditions, no lecture, just, let me get this. And I said no, not because I didn't want the food. I wanted it badly, more than I wanted almost anything else in that moment. I said no because some part of me needed to prove I could finish what I started. Pride is a strange kind of fuel. It doesn't fill your stomach, but it keeps you moving anyway. By day 4, the strain wasn't just physical anymore. It was mental. I caught myself standing in front of my card holder, just looking at it, telling myself one swipe wouldn't really count. Nobody would know. I'd still basically have done the challenge. I actually picked the card up once, turned it over in my hand, and put it back down. I didn't use it, but I understood, for the first time, how easy it is to talk yourself into breaking a rule you set for your own good, especially when you're tired, hungry, and nobody's watching to hold you accountable. That night, I ran into someone I used to know from around the way. Older guy, been through some real financial storms of his own. He noticed I looked off and asked what was going on. When I told him what I was doing, he didn't laugh. He just nodded slow and said something that stuck with me. He said most people don't go broke because they don't have money. They go broke because they never had to think about it until suddenly they do. Scarcity teaches you fast. The problem is most people only learn the lesson after it's already cost them something. By then it's not a lesson anymore. It's just a bill. I didn't have a comeback for that. I just sat with it the whole walk home. Day 5, something shifted. I wasn't fighting the hunger anymore. I was watching myself differently. Every purchase, even the tiny ones, felt like it actually mattered. I found myself doing math I never used to bother with, standing in the store aisle comparing prices per ounce like it was second nature. $1 wasn't just $1 anymore. It was a decision, which brings us back to day 6. 4 quarters, a $1.09 bag of chips, 4 cents short. I stood there longer than I want to admit, doing math on something that shouldn't have taken that long to decide. Because by that point, this challenge had stopped being about food a while ago. It had turned into something I wasn't ready for yet. 4 cents short. I stood there in the gas station a while longer, then finally just put the chips back on the shelf and walked out. If I couldn't afford it clean, I wasn't going to afford it at all. Not with 1 day left. That's the part nobody tells you about a challenge like this. It's not the hunger that gets hard toward the end. It's the decisions. Every single one, no matter how small, turns into a negotiation with yourself. I got back to my place around midnight and just sat on the edge of my bed for a minute, doing the math out loud like it would somehow change the number. One day left, 96 cents to my name. And a version of myself from 3 weeks ago who would have laughed at how seriously I was taking 96 cents. Day 7 started rough. I woke up already tired in a way sleep hadn't fixed all week. My body had adjusted to running on less, but adjusted isn't the same as fine. I remember standing in my kitchen, just staring into an almost empty fridge, not even really looking for food, just looking the way you check a text you already read twice. I made coffee with grounds I'd already used once, just to stretch them a little further. It tasted thin and a little bitter, and normally I would have complained about it. That morning I was just grateful it was hot. Around midday, my phone buzzed. It was the same guy from a few nights before, the one who dropped that line about scarcity, teaching you fast. He asked how the challenge was going, and when I told him it was the last day, he offered to bring me something to eat. No strings, no I told you so, just let me help you finish strong. And I sat with that offer longer than I expected to. Because here's the thing, taking it wouldn't have broken any rule I'd written down. Food from a friend wasn't cash. It wasn't a card swipe. Technically, I could have said yes and still call the challenge a clean win. But somewhere over the past 6 days, the rules on paper had stopped being the point. What mattered now was whether I could look back on this and know for certain that I'd actually done what I said I would do, not the version with an asterisk next to it. I told him thank you, but I wanted to finish it exactly how I started it. He didn't push. He just said, respect, and that was that. The rest of day 7 moved slow. 96 cents doesn't buy much of anything, so I made it stretch, a little rice, a little water, and a lot of sitting with my own thoughts. And somewhere in that stillness, it hit me just how differently I was seeing everything now. I thought about the $6 coffee I used to buy without blinking. $6. 6 entire days of this challenge, gone in one swipe I never thought twice about. I thought about the subscriptions I forgot I was paying for, the impulse orders that showed up, and I barely remembered buying. None of that had felt like real money at the time. It just felt like normal life. Now I knew better. $1 wasn't small. $1 was a whole day's worth of decisions, stretched as far as it could go. When midnight hit and the 7 days were officially done, I didn't celebrate the way I thought I would. No big meal, no relief lap. I just sat there quiet, thinking about how strange it was that surviving on almost nothing had taught me more about money than years of actually having it ever did. Here's what I walked away with. Being broke isn't really about the number in your account. It's about how much attention you're paying before you get there. The version of me 3 weeks earlier wasn't broke because he didn't have money. He was broke because he never once looked closely enough to see where it was going. I used to think budgeting was something you did when things got bad. Now I think of it as just paying attention on purpose before you're forced to pay attention out of necessity. There's a real difference between the two, and I only understood that by living through it. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this: you don't need to go without to start paying attention. Track every dollar for 7 days, the way I had to. Not because you're broke, but so you never have to find out the hard way like I did. Because the truth is, money doesn't disappear. We just stop watching it leave.